What is up, nerds? My name is Jeremy Akers, Jeremy Nathaniel Akers, and it is time to talk about Wicked Questions. Wicked Questions is my absolute favorite liberating structure. Pound for pound, the undisputed champion in terms of delivering value to overcome challenge and upgrade thinking. If you're not familiar with fucking Paradox, you need to figure this shit out. I'm making this video really in out of loving respect, appreciation, and gratitude to a bunch of nerds, or a couple nerds in particular, that just did not, seem to fucking get it. That just, like, I don't know. It was like they asked this question about paradox, and it seemed like they never had heard of the concept before, which just blew my fucking brains away. Like I can hardly believe that. I mean, it's always surprising, right? Whenever someone's not familiar with things that I think I feel so at home with, and so um, I guess I know some shit about this shit. Anyway, Wicked fucking Questions. How does it work? When do we do it? Wicked Questions is here to help us prevent and intervene in a vast amount of arguments. I think that's one of the beautiful things about many liberating structures. The Wicked Questions is probably, the only other structure that does this anywhere near as Wicked Questions is What So What Now What. But What So What Now What is much, 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 much harder to actually pull together. Wicked Questions is almost effortless and reduces arguments by orders of magnitude. How does it do that? It does by helping us go from this sort of yeah, but, when we're in this either or type of thinking, just gets that shit right off the fucking table and focuses on yes and. Um, yes and. If you're familiar with improvisational theater and just fucking having a good vibe, you know that we do that based on collaboration and building upon each other's ideas, accepting one another's offers, and then adding more nuance to them. So Wicked Questions is going to help us upgrade the shit out of some nuance. Let's talk about an example of why Wicked Questions are sort of required and necessary. So this is the manifesto for agile software development. It's great. It really is. It's really like fucking sage wisdom of our generation, trying to return us, trying to have, through the digital, trying to return us to a more ecological way of thinking by articulating the values of a specific mindset that a bunch of nerds noticed while they were interfacing with digital. So just read the goddamn thing. We're uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others to do it. Whatever agile software development is, that's the it. Through this work, we have come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working solutions over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following the plan. And that is, while there is value on the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. So it is left over right. What's interesting is, even though this exists as this sort of like tack on, no, these things still matter. Like the way this thing reads is that these things are important and these things are not important or less important. That's literally what it says. These things are important. These things are less important than these things. It really is, it reads like, I don't know if that was the intention, but it reads like, and many people interpret it as if it's either or. I don't know if people actually do interpret it actually as either or, but I think there's this fear that some people interpret it as either or. I think most people recognize that this is pretty nuanced. However, either or thinking is a thing that we sort of import onto this document sometimes, whereas its intention is yes and. And I'm just going to quickly show you an example of how we can take this document and reimagine it through wicked questions and come to a much better version of it, I think. And that is by focusing, I don't have the preamble, I don't have the postamble. This is just the values. But an Agile manifesto through the lens of wicked questions asks ourselves, what kind of processes and tools, that's the stuff on the right side, empower individuals and interactions? See, it says yes to processes and tools and to individuals and interactions, right? What forms of contracting increase customer collaboration? What forms of documentation help solutions to work? And what sort of planning enable us to respond to change? So this takes both this through the frame of a question. It says yes to both the right side and to the left side. As a matter of fact, you get a much more of a feeling that it's looking for the processes and tools that are also individuals and interactions. So it's looking for the stuff on the left side that also satisfies the criteria of the right side. Wow, this anyway. So it is looking for this space in the Venn diagram, right? That is the power of wicked questions, going from either or to yes and. How do we make use of it in practical day-to-day operation? We're going to make use of this format. This is this is where the value is. This is where the juice is. In response to whatever our challenge is, we're going to embrace paradox and this yes and thinking by using the following format. How is it that we are blank and blank at the same time? So how is it that we are black and white at the same time? How is it that we are yin and yang? I can't fucking yang. Whatever. Leave me alone. At the same time. How is it that we are alpha and omega at the same time? Dig? So how do we do it? What's the procedure look like? So I'm going to show you the by the book. I don't like this ways quite as much, but it works. Still slaps. First, we want to set the stage. We want to explain the notion of paradox and offer that template that I just showed you, this one down there. After we've done that, we want to give people 5 minutes and invite them to take some solo time to answer this question. What complementary yet opposing forces must we face at the same time in order to be successful in this challenge, domain, area, whatever? What are the complementary yet opposing forces that we must embrace? Take 5 minutes, like I said, solo time, come up with the most wicked question you can. Take 5 more minutes, gather in a group of less than 6, and see who's got the most wicked question. Use the input from one another to see if you can come up with even more wicked questions. And then come together in whatever all the groups are. And in just 10 minutes, trade your best wicked questions and see if you can find the most wicked question ever. Super simple. Half hour, you've got yourself a great wicked question. You've put together an extraordinary frame that is going to help search for a higher order synthesis between two paradoxical forces. Beautiful. Works. Not my favorite. Why? Because this move right here. I am not a fan of explaining things before we start. I know this may be a hot take. I'm sure other people have reasons to want to do things differently. I don't like to get into explanation mode, ironically. Even though I'm sitting here explaining this shit to you, you'll notice it's kind of a shitty vibe. That's not true. It's appropriate asynchronously. When I am, if you were here, I should hope to God that I would not go in full presentation mode on you, but that we have more of a genuine interaction. But asynchronously, I got nothing but time. It's fucking 1 a.m. where I'm at. It's whatever the fuck time it is where you're at. We're not hanging out in the here and now. So asynchronously, explanation mode makes sense. Synchronously, though, fuck your explanation. And trying to explain something as complex and as nuanced as paradox, oh man, fuck all that. I'm going to see that some percentage of the room doesn't fucking get it, and I'm just going to keep trying to explain them into getting it, and that's never going to help. Just let people wrestle with the concepts, and then they will figure out what the fuck you mean. So how can we lean more into that vibe of active exploration, wrestling with the concepts, in order to figure out what the fuck we mean? This is my preferred method of pursuing wicked questions. So the first thing I want to do is I want to encourage folks to make a list of what are all the good, wanted traits, qualities, strategies, things. What are the good, wanted shit that we want in some context, some domain? Just take 2 minutes in solo time. Make a laundry list. See if you can come up with like 20 things that you want in this place around this topic with regard to this challenge. About this space. Make a long list. After I have made that long list, then and only then, I'm going to take a couple minutes and I'm going to say, hey, let's look for some paradoxes in that list. We know we want all of these things, right? We know we want all of these things. And let's look for a pair that makes us go, ooh, how am I supposed to do both this and that at the same time? This feels a little spicy. This feels a little hard. I'm not sure. That is your wicked question. So take a list of good wanted things and find the polarity that exists between two of those items. See if you can find a more wicked question. See if you can use that list to inspire the most wicked question you can possibly imagine. But start with what you know, and I'm sure you will find a perfectly serviceable and adequate wicked question in there. So, like I said, look for your wicked question. Take 3 minutes, do it solo, gather in a small group of less than 6 for 5 minutes, come together in all, and in just 10 minutes, see what the most wicked question you can get inspired and generate together. Still takes about a half hour. It's a good time. You will guaranteed find a serviceable wicked question. This is the way I like to go about it. Pairs really well with appreciative interviews. That sort of generates your principles or good wanted things for you. See if we can find a set of good wanted things from your story and my story that makes us go, how are we supposed to do both of those at once? Anyway, you get the vibe. This is Wicked Questions. I'm going to show you one more way. I think this is the last take on Wicked Questions that also works. I learned this one from Justin, I think, up in fucking the Cascadia. It builds on spiral journal. So take out a piece of paper, draw a big 2x2, take a minute or two, draw yourself a nice, cute, tidy, beautiful, fluid, clean, enjoyable spiral, and then respond to the 4 prompts that I'm about to give you. So that just says this thing. We're going to do spiral journal, blah, blah, blah. Here are the prompts. So the prompts make use of this core qualities thing. And let me give you a bigger version, right? So the first prompt is going to be about the core quality. So that looks like, what are the good wanted things? What do we want? What are the often appreciated, encouraged, and expected behaviors, traits, or qualities in this context? Take 2 minutes, free associative writing, make a big fucking list. Our next prompt is too much of those good things, might lead to the pitfalls of. Too much of those good wanted things might lead to the pitfalls of. Prompt number 3. The positive opposite of those pitfalls might lead us to. The positive opposite of those pitfalls might lead us to. And for the fourth prompt, too much of those good wanted things might lead us to. Too much of those good wanted things might lead us to. Bam. And then after that, I unpack that, hey, if you look at whatever quadrant 1 is on your spiral journal and quadrant 3 is on your spiral journal, you may notice that we've got ourselves some wicked questions. So it's sort of a hybrid between of that second mode, right? Create a list of good wanted things that have but in this instance, that have very high probabilities of being a wicked question. Technically, you may notice that there can be some wicked questions here. Wicked questions, I mean, you can have a negative paradox. How do we avoid, doing this bad thing and doing that bad thing? But generally, those are less interested than positive wicked questions, because these are directions we want to go in, but they push against each other. Like not doing this stupid thing and not doing that stupid thing still leaves like all this space of potentially unrelated, not stupid things that we can lean into, or, that stupid thing over there. Whereas there's just something, you can do nothing in response to this paradox, right? Whereas in response to this paradox, there's a more active orientation, and that's what makes it more useful. So, like I said, I use Spiral Journal, set the stage, fill this guy out with yonder core qualities, and then take quadrant 1 and quadrant 3 and put it in your format in order to generate wicked questions. Perfectly serviceable. Well, it's a little bit more, what is it? It's a little more formulaic and procedural, and some people like that. So those are 3 takes on wicked questions. I am now going to dive a little bit, or quite a lot, off of the deep end. So if you're interested in wicked questions and liberating structures, you may want to end the video right here. I'm going to take a trip down memory lane into another very different way to use wicked questions that once more sticks the landing on helping people to avoid arguments, but in a much more, fucking like coachy type of way, right? Is much more of an in-the-moment intervention. And it is based off of the book Conversation Transformation. Conversation Transformation is a fucking phenomenal book. If you're into leadership, mentorship, coaching, shit like that, facilitation, read this fucking book. The TLDR that I think is a beautiful vibe to lean into is that if somebody's idea seems crazy, extreme, or stupid, there's a good chance that they have info that you do not, or that they consider some of that info much more relevant and valuable than you do. That's just such a fucking game changer, man. To go from, my fucking racist uncle is such a jackass and doesn't get it, to, oh, my racist uncle values something that I don't. Oh, can I become curious about what it is that he values about that? I mean, I don't think racism is a redeeming quality, but I do think curiosity has the ability to redeem all qualities, frankly. And fuck their racism. Like, don't be a fucking snowflake. Get curious about some shit so you can understand and communicate with those motherfuckers. And if you can understand and communicate with those motherfuckers, well, you just might find that their values change in response to your values. Whatever. Let me not preach too much at you. But conversation transformation. Conversation as transformation is all about communication breakdown, and communication breakdown is caused by behavior. My racist uncle is, our conversations suck, not because he's an asshole, or not because we're talking about things that are challenging, actually, but it's caused by the pattern of our behavior. The pattern of our behavior. If we think that it's one of these things, we're basically fucked, right? We're powerless. I can't do anything about the fact that he's an asshole. The content continues to be challenging, but when it's just behavior, then our solution space is pretty straightforward. Learn a fucking better way, a better way to communicate. Find a better combination of words, voices, tones. And what's really awesome about this pattern of our behavior being the problem is that it only takes me to change the whole dynamic between us. That, I believe, is a very powerful space to occupy. So learning is learning. That means neurogenesis. It's a thing. We're going to have to change our brains. We're going to have to do that because we're going to have to do new things. And doing new things requires new neurological connections. We have a lot of deep ruts and patterns in our behavior, so that means you're gonna fucking suck the first time you try and do something new. But if you continue to do something new, you get fucking better from it. Again, talking about the space of liberation, there's such a good vibe from I keep doing these things because this is the way I am. Like, the finality of that just sucks. Such a shitty vibe. To I am the way I am because I keep doing these things, again, puts us in the category of like, oh, my essence, my being, my sense of selfness is actually a byproduct from the shit I do and the ways that I behave. Behave differently, feel differently about yourself. Yeah, bro science, dude. It's a thing. Fuck. So how do we change behavior, right? And I know this seems, like I said, fucking fast forward or delete, or just stop the goddamn video. I'm not going to apologize. Thank you. I appreciate your understanding. So behavior change. How do we go about behavior change? Well, first and foremost, we need some form of awareness, attention, realization, observation. Houston, we have a fucking problem. We need an insight, a moment of clarity that helps us to pay and direct our attention and to keep noticing when that shit comes up. If anybody has, experienced like continuous meditation, you will have observed that at some point, like, a new vibe enters the building. And you will do some of the same old shit you've been doing for fucking ever, but a light bulb will go off in the back of your head, or some metacognitive process will activate and go, what the fuck is going on? What am I doing? Why am I behaving so weirdly? You may not have any fucking clue about what to do with it, but that awareness is an essential step to help us get to the fork in the road, the action, where we can influence the choice of doing the same old shit that we always do, that we know exactly where that leads to, or we can try and do something new. Run the risk that we suck the first time, the second time, the third time, but we are outside of the paradigm of doing that same old shit. It's a good vibe, nerds. Very good vibe. And then, of course, we practice. Once we have found ourselves a new way, feels a little bit more adaptive, maybe is a little bit more adaptive, like feels like the vibe, we practice, 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 practice. Practice makes perfect. That's why we practice liberating structures. And practice has some qualities, right? Practice is rewarding, it's intensive, it's incremental. Like we get something out of practicing and not realizing same shitty context all by itself. We practice is best when it's intensive, like we really fucking make our fingers hurt from playing the goddamn guitar so fucking much. We don't just do, I'm going to try my chords, a little bit here, a little bit there. No, make your fingers fucking bleed. I mean, metaphorically speaking. And incremental, right? Get better. Get better. Add more complexity onto your practice over and over and over again. A note to the doomers out there. Stress will always cause you to go back to the old pattern. Sorry. So even though we've got lots of attention, like under duress, we're going to go back to doing the same old stupid shit. And you're going to feel like a fucking jackass for doing it. It's okay. I'm okay. You're okay. We all fuck up. Get back on the goddamn wagon. Keep doing your goddamn thing. So now let's get back. So after that beautiful aside into andragogy, let's talk about the pattern of either or as it's most often seen in like regular day-to-day interaction as the pattern that is yeah, but. Yeah, but is an extraordinarily dangerous pattern of communication because it sends a mixed message of both agreement and disagreement at the same time, right? You say, yeah, but we have both agreement, yeah, and disagreement, but at the same time. The problem with this is that nobody notices the yeah, actually. Our brains are primed to key in on differences. If I say, I like your glasses, but they don't suit your face, did you hear the I like your glasses? No, of course not. You're fucking full alarm defense ready to rumble on they don't suit your face. What the fuck does that mean? Right? Or you're crushed under the sense of rejection. Differences are what matters to brains. And any difference can be the cause of a conflict, especially when these differences start to escalate, right? You get one little difference and you go, oh, bigger difference and bigger difference and bigger difference. And that's why you always, man, shitty vibes. So in the context of yeah, but the escalation looks like us trying to fight over which side of the conversation who wins, right? Communication and conversation is sort of single-threaded. We can only process one piece of information at a time. So when we're in dialogue, if we get caught up in our differences, it's like a tug of war going in two different directions. We are in either this topic or that topic at the same time. Either or. And so we can get pulled into, I want to talk about this. No, I want to talk about that. And that can lead to that escalating conflict. So there are several different ways to make use of wicked questions, basically. And the easiest one is when it's sort of me to you, when I notice myself saying, yeah, but. It's the easiest because I have the most agency there. And I'm going to do it by, again, leaning into awareness. And I've been thinking a lot about leadership lately and diving back into the work of the Arbinger Institute and being in the box and thinking people are objects and shit like that. And the important aspect of awareness is, am I listening to you, the other person, to what the other person is saying? Am I trying to understand their ideas, or am I trying to win the heart and soul of the argument? Or not even win the argument. Am I trying to win the right to speak? and trying to be understood. If I'm on this side, oops, not the best vibe. So, yeah, but you might think, oh, but I never say yeah, but. Maybe you're a skilled communicator. Maybe you're a sales guy or a coach or some nerd like that shit. You go, no, 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 I don't yeah, but. Newsflash, there's a lot of different ways to yeah, but yourself. Like, let's just try one of these. So I know this seems like the obvious solution. On the other hand, right? This is not a yeah. That's not a but it sure as fuck feels like a yeah, but. Like, you're absolutely right, and yet, total fucking yeah, but. While that's one way to look at things, still, I see your point. However, well, you could say that, nevertheless, right? These are, I mean, sure, and yet. Sure, it's just that. Of course, I see your point, but have you considered, right? These are not exactly yeah buts, but they all have the vibe of a yeah but. So even you can even use a yes and that feels exactly like a yeah but, right? So watch out for that shit. That's all I'm trying to say. So getting into the space of when I am communicating in that yeah but pattern, what I want to do is lean into I think about this as building and exploring, and wicked questions are essential to that. So I want to drop my yeah but. If I really want to be a world class human being, I just want to start building on the yeah and de-emphasizing the but. So, and I do that by by offering three very specific ways in which the yeah I genuinely like, I agree with, I can entertain, or can add value to the yeah perspective, right? So let me try and find an example. Fucking going to dinner. I just, the everyday fucking drama. It's everywhere, nerds. It's everywhere. Going to dinner, you know. Wife wants pizza. I want fucking Thai food. Fucking Krapao is bomb.com.net.org. We could go back and forth like, yeah, pizza, but, fucking Thai food. Yeah, but. Or I can just be recognized that I'm in this fucking, we're in playing this ping pong game. And I can go, okay, what is three ways that I can generally get behind Team Pizza? Like, oh yeah, there's a new place right down the street. Let's try it out. I'm curious about it. I could deal with pizza there. Try and having an adventure at my pizza. Or, hey, that place we love. It's another really good option for pizza. And, somebody was telling me about some other pizza, that, I was, I whatever, come up with a fucking third thing. I don't, it's so fucking late. What am I doing here? Right? Or, just find yourself a way to open up to the possibilities and perspective. This will feel completely artificial at first. Like when you're doing your first build, your first addition to their idea, you're going to feel like a fraud. But I can promise you, by the time you get to the third one, you're like, oh, actually, okay, I'm kind of open to pizza, actually. We've got some good reasons to check pizza. Fuck Thai food. That, however, is also not the vibe. So this is really nuanced, right? You can't bullshit this shit. So it's got to be some way that you can generally like, agree, or add to their position. but it's still going to feel weird. It's still going to feel like, yeah, but I want Thai food. I want that krapao. I just watched this old fucking YouTube video about how krapao is actually the fucking national dish of Thailand, and I want it now. That's okay. Just ask that portion to chill. And this is why wicked questions are so powerful, because I can park my desire for Thai food. I can join their argument, and wicked questions give me a route to bring back that difference in such a way that makes it not a difference. And I do that by bringing the wicked question into. So I have some genuine openness. I've built 3 different ways, and I can bring back the wicked question. Now I don't remember. I made these notes fucking years ago when I gave a training on this shit. So yeah. So going from but to build. Did you notice the impulse to disagree explain the difference of the conversation? Did you feel the impulse diminish after your 3 builds? Did you come up and find some general interest or concession to their point of view? Great. Then you're ready to move on to exploration. And the best way you can do that is with a wicked question. How is it that we could both have Thai food and pizza at the same time? In this instance, it sounds kind of silly, but it's not fucking crazy. We fucking just use, just eat takeaway, fucking Taos Besorged, whatever. Order in. You can get your pizza. I'll have my Thai food. We fucking eat together. Bam! There is actually a solution space. Holy shit. It does exist. If we dare express enough creativity to get ourselves there. So don't abandon your difference. That's not the vibe. That doesn't do anyone any good. Like thinking that if I just abandon myself, I can have a good relationship. No, that's just a ticking time bomb for an explosive relationship. You just don't know it yet. So don't abandon your fucking difference, but bring your difference back into the equation in a more functional way. Do you have any ideas about how we could, do both, right? About how I could still, get that flavor of that fucking, that quality of, of savory, spicy fucking goodness, Can you think of any ways that we could do pizza while still doing Thai food? What might be some steps that ensure that we get pizza that don't like mean that we never get Thai food, right? Because that's what I'm worried about. And of course, how is it that we could both have pizza and Thai at the same time? So building and exploring. This is the vibe, my nerds. Self-budding is also a thing. Fuck all that. So now let's reverse the flow. If I notice that I am being yes-budded, what do I do? Plan A, build and explore. Same fucking difference. Do the damn thing. Find 3 reasons to agree with my counterpart, and then bring in my wicked question. Totally works. Or you can go straight to the wicked question. Again, if someone's idea seems crazy, extreme, or stupid, there's a good chance they're paying attention to something that I'm not paying attention to. So, hey. Now we're going to get into a little bit even more spicy territory, and that is how to intervene in an interaction where I see budding take place, but I am not an active part in. I see them playing the ping pong match of or the tug of war for the heart and soul of the conversation, but it's not my conversation. Remember, have you ever seen a fist fight like in real life between actual humans? Have you ever tried to intervene in a fist fight? If you have not, let me inform you. It's a good way to get your fucking face punched in. Because an unskillful intervention can redirect all the fucking attention and aggression towards you as an intervener. By definition, it does that. That's the point of intervening. Is to give a higher, to give a new target, right? If I'm a fucking, mixed martial arts fucking Navy SEAL badass motherfucker, yeah, if I'm solid as a rock, redirect your aggression at me. I can take it. Not at each other. You're going to hurt each other, right? This is the vibe. So keeping that in consideration, that intervention is very situational, requires a lot of skill, consent, and permission, and shit like that. There's still shit you can do, right? So it still requires that awareness. You'll actually find that it's way easier, right? It's way easier to notice other people's shit than my own shit, right? This says unwanted help is abuse. That's true. I would not actually do that. But I'm in a lot of situations where it's sort of my job to do this type of shit. It's just an unspoken expectation. It was previously disclosed. Nevertheless, action. What do we want to do? We want to bring awareness and motivate some motherfucking action. This is always a little sketchy. Explaining, not the vibe. Not the vibe. Asking people what they've been experiencing as they're talking, almost never the vibe as well. You're just going to get some bullshit. It's like, oh no, we're fine with this. And that's not the point. It misses the point. But you do want to sort of bring awareness to the dynamic. Hey, you nerds notice what's going on here? Right? Can I trigger some curiosity? Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. This all kind of sucks, right? If you want to go through this and do this as an intervention, it works, right? I can invite, if I have the consent, the social capital, whatever, I can invite those nerds to build on each other's ideas. All right, fucking pizza, give me 3 reasons that Thai food's the bomb. Your 3 favorite Thai dishes, your 3 favorite Thai places, a wonderful anecdote about the last time you had Thai food, some shit like that. Mr. Pizza, Mrs. Pizza, tell me why, or Mrs. Thai food, tell me why pizza's the bomb, blah, blah, blah. Same shit. Good. You'll probably have to intervene here, keep motherfuckers on topic, ensure that the builds are actually coming. Take turns, right? Go back and forth, one on one or 3 on 3. Doesn't really matter. Take non-builds and go make sure they redirect them back to builds. And then, invite builds to use a wicked fucking question, right? It's not rocket science. I would say you can skip all this shit though and go straight to motherfucking the min spec of, hey nerds, how is it that we yeah and but at the same time? End of story. Just try it. If you hear some nerds yeah butting, just go, hey, it seems like we got 2 different perspectives here, but how is it that we yeah and we but? Whatever the specific context of the yeah is, a specific argument of the yeah is, the specifics of the but, just say, how is it that we yeah and but at the same time, right? You don't say actual yeah but you fill in the blank with the yeah side of the argument and with the Thai food and the pizzas at the same time. You just throw that at those 2 people. Watch. Sit back. Watch. Put your feet up. Watch as they they do one of infinite things could happen. If your social capital sucks or their social capital is very high, they might just tell you to go fuck yourself, and that they feel happy to argue and subject everybody in the room to that. If that is the vibe, I mean, get the fuck out of there. That would be my only piece of advice. Like, don't you don't have to live that way. In most situations, however, my experience is that when I throw a wicked question at some people in the middle of the yeah but, they stop dead in their fucking tracks. They cross their arms. They look up at the sky and go, yeah, man, that's a good fucking question. Huh. And they acknowledge that it is a hard question that you're asking them. And that if they had an answer, they wouldn't have a fucking argument, right? People get really thoughtful in the response to wicked questions because wicked questions are exceptional questions. They are very challenging when the question is actually wicked. And what makes a question wicked is the meaning of both sides of the polarity. So, we're in the 2020s, moving deep and fast. This is a time of more paradox and less polarization. I know, I exist, I have an internet fucking connection. I know that polarization is everywhere, but you don't have to live that way. It's a choice. And I get that the technology does not make that, is making a choice for us that is pushing us towards polarization. But we can lean into paradox. It is a more than adequate solution. It's actually the best possible solution. I mean, Taoism's been around for fucking ever. Fucking ever. And it's beautiful. Use wicked questions to escape polarization, to escape either or trade-off, limited perspective bullshit, and to upgrade into a way of looking at the world that has more fidelity, more nuance, and can deal with that apparent paradox. My name is Jeremy Akers, Jeremy Nathaniel Akers. Thank you for your time, attention, and energy.